Imagine this. You're ripped from your family, your faith is erased, and your whole identity is reshaped to serve a foreign emperor. This isn't some dystopian fantasy novel. It was the shocking reality for countless young boys under the Ottoman Empire's Devshirme system. This system didn't just create the fearsome Janissaries. It also built a class of loyal administrators, forever changing individual lives and, indeed, the course of an empire. What if an empire's most loyal servants, its most terrifying warriors, weren't born at its heart, but actually stolen from its fringes? What if their rock-solid loyalty was forged in the fires of lost childhoods and identities that were completely shattered? This is the incredible story of the Devshirme, the child Levy. It was a brutal, yet somehow incredibly effective institution that took Christian boys, mostly from the Balkans, and turned them into the absolute elite of the Ottoman state. So, picture this, it's the late 14th century, and the expanding Ottoman Empire has a big problem. How could it get unwavering loyalty and centralized power, especially when powerful Turkish noble families often had their own plans? The sultans needed soldiers and administrators who were loyal only to them. The answer they came up with? It was radical and it was ruthless. The Devshirme. The whole idea was to build an elite force that owed allegiance to no one but the sultan. This way, they could counterbalance the influence of the traditional Turkish aristocracy and make sure the state was stable and centralized. Periodically, Ottoman officials would sweep through Christian villages in the Balkans, places in modern-day Greece, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Albania. They'd select boys, usually between 8 and 18, though sometimes as old as 20. The rules for selection were pretty strict. Typically one boy from every 40 families, and he had to be physically healthy, smart, and often the most promising kid in his village. There were exceptions, like for only sons or boys with vital skills, but for many, it was basically forced conscription, a human tax. If families resisted, they faced punishment, and you can imagine the separation was incredibly traumatic. These boys were, quite literally, stolen from their worlds. Once these boys were taken, their old lives were systematically pulled apart. They were shipped off to Istanbul or Anatolia, forced to convert to Islam, circumcised, and often given new Turkish names. Their native languages, their customs, all suppressed. Instead, they were immersed in Ottoman Turkish culture and Islamic teachings. The brightest ones, known as Oglani, palace pages, got an amazing education in palace schools. They learned languages like Arabic and Persian, math, calligraphy, Islamic theology, how to ride horses, and how to fight. The others? They were destined for the Janissary Corps. This meant years of incredibly tough military training, drilling iron discipline and absolute loyalty into them. They were taught to see the Sultan as their father and the Corps as their only family. But this brutal transformation, believe it or not, also opened doors to incredible power. The Janissaries became the absolute backbone of the Ottoman military, an elite infantry that was feared all across Europe and the Middle East for their discipline and skill. These weren't just any soldiers. They were the Sultan's personal troops, a standing army that was revolutionary for its time. And those educated in the palace schools? They could climb to the very top of the Imperial administration. We're talking provincial governors, military commanders, even grand viziers, the Sultan's chief minister, second only to the ruler himself. Think about figures like Sokalu Mehmed Pasha, who came from a Bosnian Serb background. He reached the very height of power as Grand Vizier. It just shows the kind of social mobility the system, as harsh as it was, could offer. These slaves of the port, as they were known, literally became the ruling class. Of course, the personal cost was huge. The trauma of being torn from their families, having their cultural and religious identity erased, the sheer psychological weight of building a new life on the ruins of the old, it was all undeniable. They were ordered to cut all ties with their birth families, though some, once they got into positions of power, found quiet ways to help their relatives. But here's the flip side. The Devshirme also offered a path to status and influence they could never have dreamed of in their villages. Some families, seeing this, even volunteered their sons, hoping it meant a better future for them, although this definitely wasn't the usual story. It was a really complex situation. Terrible oppression mixed with almost unbelievable opportunity. For the Ottoman Empire itself, the Devshirme was for a very long time, a massive success. It gave them a super disciplined, incredibly loyal military force that won them countless battles. It also filled the administration with capable people whose main loyalty was to the Sultan. This strengthened his central authority and cut down on internal drama from the established Turkish elites. For centuries, the Janissaries and the administrators raised through Devshirme played a vital role in the empire's expansion and stability. But, as they say, no system lasts forever. By the late 16th and 17th centuries, the Devshirme system started to fade. Janissaries were eventually allowed to marry and even enroll their own sons into the core, which kind of diluted the original idea. More and more freeborn Muslims were let in, and with that came growing corruption and a lack of discipline. This once elite force turned into a powerful internal group, sometimes even becoming a threat to the very sultans they were created to protect. There were even times they kicked rulers off the throne. The Devshirme levy happened less and less and was officially scrapped in the early 18th century, though a bit of recruitment trickled on. The Janissary Corps itself? It was violently broken up in 1826. The story of the Devshirme really makes you think about the complexities of power, loyalty, and identity in one of history's most lasting empires. If you found this look into the Stolen Sons fascinating, why not subscribe to our channel for more explorations of hidden histories? Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. And we'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. What part of the Janissaries or the Devshirme system do you find the most striking or surprising? So, the Devshirme system is still a really controversial topic, and people debate it a lot today. On one hand, it was a brutal practice involving forced conversion and the wiping out of cultures. Many see it as a violation of human rights and even against Islamic law about protecting non-Muslims. But, on the other hand, it was also this incredible engine for social mobility and a cornerstone of Ottoman power for hundreds of years. The Stolen Sons, taken as child slaves, rose to become the masters of an empire. Their lives are a powerful testament to a unique and ruthless system that didn't just shape their destinies, but the entire Ottoman world. It's a legacy we're still trying to fully understand today.